Hello, welcome back to Everlasting Summer. Wow, there's so much content in this. So cool. And I was lucky. In the far corner was an absolutely empty table. I took my dinner quickly and sat at the table. Tonight's dinner consisted of fruit soup and a pair of buns. This set surprised me at first, but the taste was actually nice. I concentrated on eating. Lena, let's go here. Look, three free chairs. Lena and Miku stood in front of me. Are these taken? Wondered Lena. No, take a seat. Of course, I wish you were alone. Thank you. As soon as Lena said that, Xenia jumped out from behind her back. I'll stay here. There are no places left, she said, putting her tray on a table and sitting down, not even waiting for my answer. Sure, make yourself at home, I muttered sorrowfully. What? Nothing. To tell the truth, I wanted to reduce the whole company to just Lena, though neither Miku nor Xenia were causing much trouble. Except one was too talkative and the other was too arrogant. But nevertheless, they were absolutely harmless, especially comparing to some others I could name. Oh, seems like I forgot my key. Don't worry, take mine. I was surprised by Miku's short reply. Do you live together? Of course, didn't you know? Together. Our cabin is the rearmost. I mean the farthest from here. I mean the last one. I wouldn't have been surprised if somebody told me that Lena lived with Slavya, or with Xenia at worst, even electronic. But silent and shy Lena and excessively talkative Miku as a pair. That's really a surprise. Did you find Shurik? It's strange that Xenia is disturbed by someone's problems. No. Surely he's at the village buying cigarettes or vodka, she snorted. Village? At that moment, the conversation got much more interesting. Got a problem with villages? Xenia looked amazed. You mean there's a village nearby? I think so, she said uncertainly. I looked at Lena and Miku, but they were busy with their meals and did not pay attention to our conversation. You mean you don't know exactly? Why should I care? Xenia stared at her dish. But there must be something nearby. Listen. Listening. I don't know. Will you let me eat? Seems like I won't get anything from her, though there is a chance that she really doesn't know. The remaining time was spent listening to Miku talking about some nonsense. I was just going slowly mad in silence. Obviously, the first thing I did after that was inhale a great breath of fresh air. The sun was setting. I decided to take a walk. It's highly unlikely that I'll find anything more exciting to do for the rest of the evening. That way something interesting could arise quite unexpectedly. I was approaching the square when I heard a loud bang. It seemed like something had exploded. I was paralyzed. I am in a hostile environment, not knowing the rules and laws of this place. It would be better for me to run. But at the same time, I was curious. Probably I would have just kept standing there, but somebody grabbed my hand. It was Olga Dmitrievna. Why are you standing here? Let's go and see what happens. Can't you ever manage without me? I begged her pitifully. It shouldn't be anything serious, I hope. When we came to the square, there was already a crowd of pioneers. Olga Dmitrievna vigorously pushed through the crowd and approached the crime scene. Obviously someone had tried to blow up Genda, but the attackers failed. The monument was still standing upright. There were only dim ashtrays on the pedestal. Well, who did this? She looked over the crowd of pioneers. Certainly it wasn't done by an organized terrorist organization. These guys all came here just to look at what happened. I noticed Olyana and Alyssa in the crowd, and it looks like our camp leader noticed them too. You two, come here. They approached reluctantly. Why always me? If you think so. Show me your hands, Devashskaya. What's wrong with them? I looked closer and saw that they were smeared with black. Now it's clear. What did you make a bomb with? The junior terrorist seemed to hesitate over whether or not to confess, but then blurted out proudly. Activated carbon, saltpeter, and sulfur. Why exactly the monument? What did this honored man ever do to you, the fighter for the rights of? Besides, he gave me activated carbon. She pointed at me with her finger. The whole square stared at me. Thoughts about the pointlessness of this act due to the small bomb size left me at that very moment. She stole it. I did nothing. Even if he gave it to you, I'm sure that Semyon would never take part in such disgusting antisocial act. Yes, exactly. I agreed. I could only imagine how long she would have kept on scolding Alyssa if Electronic hadn't popped out at that very moment, shouting. I found it! Everyone turned towards him. He held a boot in his hand. Here. Electronic boastfully shook it over his head. It's Shurik's boot. Okay, calm down. Tell us in detail where you found it. In the forest. On the way to the old camp. Whispers ran among the pioneers. Old camp. The old camp. Are you sure? Absolutely. What's so special about this old camp? I joined in the conversation. It's nothing special, really, she stammered. One of the Sovyanox legends tells us the story of a young camp's leader's ghost living there. She fell in love with a pioneer, but he rejected her, and so she killed herself. Well, she committed harakiri with a kitchen knife. Next day, that boy was hit by a bus. Oyana ran out of the crowd. Bus? I refrained from asking about the route number. But science doesn't acknowledge the existence of ghosts, so we have nothing to be afraid of. Anyway, someone should go there. Somebody should go there. Suddenly, the crowd started to thin out. Olga Dmitrievna, it's almost night, maybe tomorrow? I turned around and saw Slavya and Lena. What if that night something happens to him? No, today, right now. By the way, where is this place? Electronic abruptly described to me the directions and told me the story of the old camp. The camp leader looked at me attentively. If you think that you're the only man here. I looked around the area. Of course, Electronic was quick to flee. I still didn't want to walk in the woods alone. If you asked me, I would go with Alyssa, go with Slavia, go with Oliana, go with Lena, or go alone. Okay. Big choice. I'll do Slavia. I'll go with him. Very well, it's better together. Are you sure? I asked Slavia in a whisper. I wanted to be sure, but she didn't answer, just smiled. I looked speechlessly at Slavia for some time. Why is she always helping me? Very good. Good luck then, both of you. We'll need it. The camp leader and the other girls said their goodbyes and went their own ways. I was quite surprised that they're treating our night walk through the forest to the abandoned camp as something normal. Well, it can't really be helped. Wait a minute, I'll bring a flashlight. A flashlight, sure. While I was waiting for Slavia, I had a strange thought. Why is she always so kind, sympathetic, and ready to help? Why does she offer to go with me to God knows where? It's always the quiet ones. Should I be concerned about her? I'm back. With a smile, Slavia gave me a flashlight. Shall we go? From what Electronic told us, the old building was built right after the war. It looked like a kindergarten, or like a barracks I expected, and definitely could hold less pioneers than today's camp. It had been abandoned for about 20 years. It was now totally dark. It seemed like the forest was as afraid of us as we were of it. Trees politely moved away, grouping at the sides of the path and patiently watching us. An owl hooted something somewhere far away, but more quietly than usual. I wasn't afraid walking next to Slavia. Probably in any other situation, even in the real world, I would be too scared to go into a forest without a proper path. But I tried to get rid of these thoughts. Although it was strange, Slavia probably soothed my self-preservation instincts and my sense of reality was blunted. If it continues this way, I'll jump towards some beast with a smile on my face. Oh, you're not afraid at all. Wait, you're not afraid at all, are you? Meaning? Slavia turned around and looked at me, smiling in a strange way, either with misunderstanding or gentle mockery. Or maybe I was just seeing things. Well, night, the forest, the old camp. Yes, it sort of gives me the chills. Just sort of. Are you afraid? Well, no, well, yes, but it's a natural human reaction in this kind of situation. I didn't want to show my fear, but I wasn't really scared. I just felt that being scared is what I should be in a situation like this. It was like my body had stopped producing antibodies to fight against an infection. I was scared not by the night forest, but by the fact that I was reacting to everything that was happening in the wrong way. On the other hand, I didn't want to make a fool of myself. I see. Slavia smiled again and continued walking. The path, surrounded by trees and bushes, was becoming more narrow. The deeper we went into the forest, the less clearly we could see the moon. For a moment, clouds hid the moon and everything was submerged into almost pitch-black darkness. I closed my eyes tight, and when I opened them, the moon had taken its place again and painted the world in the bright white colors of its night shroud. I only just realized how much I hate the dark. Finally, a clear space appeared far away ahead, and a minute later we were standing at the edge of the forest glade. There was a ramshackle old camp building, eroded by rain, rust, and beetles. It smiled at us with broken windows like a gap-toothed mouth. A silent rebuke from the dead to the living could be read in the smile. A cemetery fog clouded the whole glade, so ghosts, ghouls, zombies, devils, and other evil entities seemed to loom from the haze. This sight was enough to give the average person a heart attack, or at least a panic attack. If Slavia hadn't taken my hand, I surely wouldn't have been able to stand it. It won't be as scary this way, she smiled. I couldn't say anything else, just grasped her hand tightly. What am I even doing here? Looking for Shurik at night in the forest, here. How could I ever agree? There's not a single normal person who would. But the world around me can't really be called normal. I tried to persuade myself that I was finding answers and that it can't really get any worse. To be honest, nothing bad had actually happened to me during the last 4 days in this camp. Besides, I had no special reason to think that something bad would happen. Maybe it's just the way the world works. People can't live without adventures. Shall we go? Yes, I guess. But we didn't make a move. Slavia seemed to be waiting for me to take the first step, but I had just enough courage to stand still without running away. Oh, the moon showed up from behind the clouds again and lit up the old camp building. Now it less looked like a tomb, but all dead pictures in my imagination grew real. Visions of ghosts became more focused. The wailing of the wind and the grass rustling got clearer. Noises of the unknown origin could be heard from afar. Seems like it was a great place before. I looked at Slavia carefully. Maybe she was scared, but she was trying to hide it. Knowing that I felt a little better and calmer. Maybe let's go? Sure. I stepped carefully, watching every step, trying not to touch the old fence, the crooked merry-go-round, or the rusty slide. In some places the grass was waist-high, so any wrong move could lead to broken legs or hands. At last we came to the entrance, and I pointed my flashlight inside. The darkness that looked back at me was much scarier than the view outside. At least the moon shone brightly there. I gathered up all my courage and crossed the threshold. The inside of the old camp building looked like a kindergarten from my childhood. The layout of the interior, even the rotten furniture, was similar. Well, I shivered, picking out more and more remains of the joy of children long gone with the flashlight. Creepy. Slavia was not only holding my hand by now, but embracing it, firmly pressing herself against me. However, I didn't sense fear in her voice. I wonder whether it was a good idea to come here in the middle of the night. Perhaps not. Shall we go back then? No, what about Shurik? She said in genuine astonishment. Well, Shurik, why did he even come here in the first place? Maybe he isn't even here? Where else could he be? I don't know. Eaten by wolves, maybe? Don't say that. Slavia frowned and stepped away from me. I was already so used to being with her that I was slightly upset by her reproach. Well, okay, let's assume that there are no wolves. Though you can never be sure. Well, since we're here, let's search. We searched all the rooms of the old camp, playrooms, bedrooms, canteen, kitchen, and toilets. I even looked into the closet, which was choked with empty, decayed cardboard boxes. Look! When we returned to the place we started from, Slavia picked up something from the floor and gave it to me. It was an old doll with torn, frayed threads, missing a hand and an eye, faded from damp. So what? I pity it. What, this doll? Yes. Why would you pity it? Someone played with her, then just threw her away and forgot about her, and she's been here all alone all these years, in the rain, in the cold. I couldn't really tell if Slavia was serious or not. I don't think this is the time to think about such things. On the other hand, what would be the proper time for that? Slavia looked really upset. Yes, maybe. I took the doll and examined it. I remember how I once found a stuffed lion the same way that Slavia just found this doll. I took him home, washed him, and was as careful with him as with other toys, even though he was long past his retirement age. You should give it to Liana. Wait, you should give it to Liana. Slavia laughed. Suddenly the wind howled down the passage, singing some kind of eerie tune. A light flashed and I instinctively jumped, caught my leg on something and tumbled to the floor. Are you alright? Slavia ran over to me and helped me get up. Yes, more or less. I tripped on a trapdoor. It's strange that we hadn't noticed it already. The dirt around the door was cleared. It seemed like it was open not too long ago. We're not going down there, are we? I asked, trying to preempt Slavia's suggestion. She only gave me a sad glance. We're not going down there, are we? Okay. Come on, are we playing at diggers now? I moaned while lifting the hatched cover with quite an effort. My common sense was crying out, telling me I shouldn't do this, but contrarily, my logic suggested that if this world wanted to kill me, I'd already be dead. But it's only because of Slavia, otherwise there's no way I would go down there. 2 meters of a rusty metal ladder laid down to a dirty concrete floor. I leaned over the edge and illuminated a narrow passage going somewhere into the darkness. And what is there? I think I heard about a bomb shelter near the old camp. A bomb shelter? Well, that's pretty illogical considering the time it was built. Why would Shurik need to go there? I don't know. Of course, it wasn't necessarily him who opened the hatch, and it's obvious that someone had opened it just recently, but who would be more likely to get the idea of going down there than a mad inventor? If we discard theories of supernatural involvement, there can be no other humans in this forest. At least that's what I thought. Alright, I'll go first, and if everything is fine, you follow me. What might not be fine? Slavia looked scared, but seemed to ask more out of politeness. Well, I don't know. Rats, for example? Are you afraid of rats? Guess I shouldn't have asked. I sighed deeply and began to descend. Yeah. We advanced slowly, holding hands. In the pitch darkness, the flashlight was not helping much. Only occasionally it would illuminate pieces of old newspapers and scrap metal lying here and there. Suddenly it began to feel as if the walls and the ceiling, covered in endless twisting cords, were pressing in on me, as if the passage was getting narrower. I spread my arms, trying to measure the passage's width. Are we still far off? Asked Slavia sadly. Far from where? I've got no clue. Alright. Just then, a massive metal door appeared before me as if from nowhere. Oh, cried Slavia softly. I tried the handle, and it seemed to yield a bit. You ready? Not sure. Though, speaking frankly, what could you prepare for in such a situation? The wheel turned a few times, squeaking horribly, then finally reached its limit and went quiet. I pulled on the door with all my weight, and it reluctantly opened. There was some sort of chamber behind it, which turned out to be the bomb shelter itself. When we entered, the lights suddenly went on, making me flinch. Though it was likely that there was an independent power source here, at the time when these catacombs had been dug, people had been building things to last. The bomb shelter looked exactly like what I imagined. It had everything needed to sustain prolonged human existence during a war. The lockers contained chemical protection suits, gas masks, dry rations, and water cans. At the far wall, I noticed a lot of various tools, pressure meters, radiation meters, a radio, and some others. However, this place looked like nobody has ever used it, which was not actually that surprising. Furthermore, it looked like nobody had ever entered it after it was built. Slavia gave me a questioning look. Well, Shurik is definitely not here. But was he? No idea, but if he was here, he couldn't just vanish. I looked around the room again and noticed another door in the wall to my left. Maybe there. However, the door wouldn't open. What if he barred it from the other side? But why? I don't know. Still, it was quite possible, assuming he was there at all. By the look of things, Shurik was hiding, maybe running from someone. Such thoughts made me uneasy, and I felt like putting myself on the other side of the door as fast as I could. I pushed hard, but the door only gave a dull creak. Here, maybe this could work? Slavia handed me a crowbar. I fumbled with it, considering how I could better tackle the door. Let's give it a try. Using all my strength, I managed to pull the door off its hinges, and it crashed onto the floor. While I was recovering from my effort, Slavia pointed the flashlight down the newly opened passage. There's a corridor here, just the same as the previous one. Geez, this place is a real maze. Shall we go? Hold on. I sat down on a bunk, took a dusty pillowcase off a pillow, and wiped my forehead. Let me catch my breath. Slavia sat down next to me and began to study the details of the four tile patterns. Better turn off the flashlight for now. Oh, yes. She blushed slightly and clicked the switch off. It's just plain creepy. I got myself thinking that I have not been treating these events as real for the last half an hour. As if they had not been happening to me, as if they were just a dream. Just like back then, 4 days ago, in the first minutes after I found myself here. Yes, lately I might have started getting used to this world, this reality, as it has become reality for me. And that feeling deep in my soul that I had to find an exit was not so acute anymore. But now again, in a blink of an eye, the forest, the old camp, the bomb shelter. There was absolutely nothing supernatural about any of it, but neither was it anything normal, like anything from my previous life. Yes, agreed Slavia. Don't you find any of this strange? What exactly? Well, the fact that we are sitting here, just you and me, in the night, wouldn't it be normal in such a situation to instead wait till morning? Yep. Yes, I guess so. She replied thoughtfully. Of course, I almost volunteered. I shouldn't have. Well, almost isn't quite right, but still. But you just wanted to help? If Shurik is here, we should find him as soon as possible. At this rate, we will be the ones they're looking for. You know, he did manage to get lost here. Slavia looked flustered. Alright, I didn't mean anything like that. Maybe he's not here. Maybe he actually went back to the camp a long time ago. Yes, maybe. But we should still check, right? Of course. Slavya got up and held out her hand to me. It seemed she wasn't as afraid as me, though I was already tired of being scared myself, and now only wanted all of this to end as soon as possible. No. This corridor was identical to the other one, which we came through to get to the bomb shelter. I was walking at a slow pace, carefully watching the floor and checking from time to time whether the passage was getting narrower. Look! Slavya held my hand tighter and pointed at a breach in the middle of the tunnel. It was wide enough for a man to climb through, or to fall down. Maybe... I pointed the light down, but there seemed to be nothing but ground at the bottom. I think we should check this out. The hole was shallow enough for us to climb out afterwards, so at first sight there was nothing to be afraid of. I climbed down carefully and helped Slavya. We found ourselves in some kind of mine. The walls and the ceiling were reinforced by wooden beams, and rails stretched out into the distance. Here and there, the earth pressing down against this fragile design broke through the boards, which were rotting with age, and made the whole structure look a bit unreliable. Where do you think we are? Don't know, some kind of mine. What could they have mined here? Coal, perhaps? Perhaps. We started to advance slowly. Stones would treacherously shift under our feet now and then. The beam coming from the flashlight trembled and jumped from one wall to the other, often casting shapeless shadows which disappeared as soon as the light was pointed at them. It's scarier here than above. Guess so. The further we went, the stronger my confidence became that Shurik had absolutely nothing to do with this place. He couldn't have been taken by Chupacabra, could he? Alright, we can't rule out that possibility either. At last we came to a fork in the tunnel. Where do we go now? I don't know. I tried to inject at least some semblance of calm into my voice, but I really had no clue. None at all. Not where to go, not where Shurik was. Not even why we're here. Not even why we're here. What if we get lost? Yeah, right. Let's leave a mark that we have already been here. I picked up a rather large stone and carefully carved a cross on one of the logs supporting the ceiling. There. Now we'll know that we have already passed the spot. Good. Slavya smiled. So, which way? Okay, let's try left. Ooh, it seems that there is another fork in the road. Right? It seems that there's another fork in the road. Right? Another fork in the road. Left. Right. 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 No. Right. Okay. um. Oh, we're back at the place where we got, so we took a wrong turn somewhere. Let's keep on searching. Right. Left. Right. 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 Left. Ooh. Whoa. Finally, we walked out of the tunnel into a rather large hall with a high ceiling. Though it hardly could have been called a hall, they must have used to mine something here. Coal, or maybe gold. The walls had been cut by pickaxes or pneumatic drills. This place was pitch black, so our only salvation was the flashlight. If it breaks, it's unlikely that we'll ever get out of here. By its light, I noticed a piece of red cloth in the corner. That's a pioneer neckerchief. Shurik was obviously here somewhere. Shurik, 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 Shurik. Only the echo answered us. Don't worry, he's alright. Frankly speaking, at that moment I was far more worried about myself. But where could he have gone from here? This chamber had no other exit. Of course, there are probably still places in these tunnels which we haven't been to yet. Then we have to keep searching. Ooh. Whoa. Alright. I gotta learn what's going on here. Right. We've already been here. I got there with 3 rights. Right, left, right. I'll do a pattern. We came to some kind of miners' camp. Picks and helmets everywhere, a rusty wagon stood in the corner. All the items were so old, they dated from the beginning of the 20th century rather than the middle. So this really is a mine, which means I could wander around here for ages without finding a way out. But I sensed that exit was somewhere nearby, and so we went further. Oh, neat. I want to do it again. Okay, now I'm back at the beginning again. 3 rights will get me back where I started, and so will 3 lefts, I think. Other than that, I don't really know. Another right. This place is big. Okay. Wait, so I just got there at 2 lefts. Weird. um. Is this the beginning or the very beginning? I feel like I could have a map for this. Somehow, I don't know. What the? After another turn, the flashlight lit up a wooden door. Well, at least that's something. To tell the truth, I was so tired of wandering around this mine that I completely stopped thinking about Shurik. I only wanted to find an exit as soon as possible. What's behind it? We're just about to find it out. Past the door, there was a small chamber, which looked either like the utility room of a boiler house or like one of the bomb shelter's rooms. The floor was littered with empty bottles, and the walls were painted with a mess of graffiti, which meant that other people had more than once visited this place before us. Although, from the look of things, they had done so rather long ago. I was running the flashlight's beam around the room, trying to check every part of it, when suddenly I found Shurik curled up in a corner. "Shurik!" cried Slavya. However, it looked as if he was not paying any attention to us. "Here you are. We've been looking for you all night. Why in the world did you come here?" Shurik looked up at me with hazy, unseeing eyes. "And who are you?" "What do you mean, who are you? Get up already and let's go." "I'm not going anywhere with you." Shurik turned away and stared into the darkness again. "You want to trick me again? You will make me go in circles through the tunnels, won't you? Yes, you will. I know you for what you are." Shurik's voice turned into an infernal whisper. "Cut this nonsense out already." I wanted to approach him and pull him upright, but Slavia stopped me. "He's not quite himself." "Well, I'm not quite myself either. You wander here all night. You sure won't be quite yourself." She shook her head reproachfully and slowly went up to Shurik while carefully staying in the light. "It's alright, it's me, Slavia." "For real?" Shurik looked at her and immediately started sobbing quietly. "Of course, who else could it be? And that's Semyon with me. We came to find you. Everything's fine now." "Are you really not them?" "Certainly not. We're us." He tried to get up, but he was apparently disoriented and would have fallen if not for Slavia, who caught him by the arm. "Easy there. Careful." When they came up to me, I said, "Alright, time to get out of here." "We can't go back." "Back where? Into the mine?" "Yes." Shurik was speaking calmly, but at the same time, his voice was trembling slightly. "Why is that?" "It's where they are." "Who are they?" "The voices." "What voices?" I was starting to lose my patience. This place and the situation certainly weren't normal, but if there had been anything paranormal here, then, by the laws of horror cinema, it should have long since showed its face by now. "Calm down, Shurik. Just tell us everything in detail." He took a few deep breaths and started. "I I needed some spare parts for the robot, and I heard that there was a bomb shelter in the old camp, and there's usually a lot of different equipment in bomb shelters. It's old, of course, but worth disassembling. You can always find coils, resistors. So I went early in the morning. I thought I could finish quickly and get back by breakfast. I got everything I needed. He took some light bulbs and wires out of his pocket and showed them to us. But then, up there in the bomb shelter, I heard some sounds from behind the door, something like moans or wailing. At first I got scared, but then I thought that a person could be in danger, so I went there. And here was this darn maze. I got completely lost, and the voices always kept telling me something, sometimes shouting, sometimes whispering, and I can never make out the words. He was ready to burst into tears, but Slavya patted him gently on the head, and Shurik continued. Anyway, I found this room. At least here you can't hear them. So you decided to sit and wait for rescue like in a B film? I asked sarcastically. Slavia shot an angry glance at me. Well, in any case, it's time to get out, if there are no objections. Come, I know a shortcut. A shortcut? Yeah, you know, I walked all over this place. Alright. Shurik did not lie. Indeed, after wandering for just about 2 minutes in the mine, we found ourselves under a grate, through which we could see the sky. Then why didn't you get out yourself? Try it, you'll see. I pulled myself up and pulled on the grate a few times. It's true, you can't break it just like that. Gotta use something heavy. I looked down at Slavya and Shurik. Try the flashlight, maybe? The flashlight? I fumbled with it. It was not one of those cheap Chinese fakes from the 90s, which I used to have a lot of in our summer cottage now. No, it was a real Soviet durable metal flashlight. Not a hammer, of course, but if I tried hard enough. I swung it and started smashing at the grate, aiming for the spots where it was attached to the wall. Soon, I got lucky. I heard cracking sounds, and a few bolts fell down. A minute later, I was lying on the grass under the monument and breathing in the fresh night air with delight. Although after the mine, any air would seem fresh. Well then, I'll be going, thank you. Shurik looked a bit lost. I eyed him questioningly for a bit, but ended up saying nothing and just waved my hand for a goodbye. After all, I had neither the strength nor the will to talk with him. And what would I say to him? Scolding him now is no use, and the same probably goes for trying to learn anything. What a night. Slavya was sitting next to me looking dreamily at the moon. Right, so, if someone told me just a week ago that I would go to a pioneer camp and would even have to crawl through bomb shelters. But it was fun. In a way, there was indeed something amusing about all of this. But there was also something strange. During the last few hours, absolutely anything could have happened to me, but in the end, nothing at all had happened. In a couple of years, I'll probably remember this as just a funny incident from childhood, if I live that long. What do you think? Did you really hear something there? I don't know. It's possible, of course, but most likely it was just his imagination. In such a situation, anyone could start imagining things. That was not only the most logical explanation, but also the most probable one, because nothing at all happened to me and Slavya. Well, I for one think he should go see a psychiatrist. Guess he should, laughed Slavya. Alright, time to go to bed. I felt like I needed to say something to Slavya. I was not sure that I wanted to, but I could feel the need. Thank you. For what? She gave me a surprised look. I wouldn't have managed without you. It was nothing. Slavya blushed. I was in her debt. Again. I wonder how I could repay her, at least partially, for all that she has done for me. I stared at the night sky, slowly falling asleep. All of today's adventures left me so tired that I had no more strength left. You know, under different circumstances, I would have surely confessed my love to you, I said, losing touch with reality. Thoughts usually work much faster than common sense. But Slavya wasn't there anymore. It's probably for the best, at least you didn't hear her. Though it's strange, why did she leave without saying goodbye? Well, whatever, I'll sleep on it and see in the morning. I was so tired that I barely made it to the camp leader's cabin. But there was a light in the window. That means she's waiting for me. And that, in turn, means that I'm in for a lecture again. And this time it will be just as pointless as ever. I had absolutely no desire to discuss whether I was right or wrong. The deck chair standing nearby was beckoning to me like a friend, as if suggesting I should sleep in it, forgetting about the mine, Shurik, the camp leader. Here you are, I said blankly, still looking at my cherished deck chair. Semyon! Yeah. We found Shurik, so I will give you the details tomorrow, and now I'd really like to sleep. She looked at me confusedly for a moment, and then replied, Oh, well, fine. I don't know if mentioning Slavia played its role, but half a minute later I was already in my bed. The events of the day kept turning over for a short while in my head, but soon it started to ache, and it was as if my consciousness switched to safe mode and started to reboot. She should be happy that you found him. We did it. We ran. Ran with the last of our strength, like those who run for their precious lives. Like a doomed person, knowing that there is no hope to save his life, will still fight the inevitable in his own fate. I barely managed to close the heavy metal door behind me. I have no idea how deep this bomb shelter is, or if it's able to withstand a nuclear blast, but we have no other place to hide. She gripped my hand tight. Don't be afraid. Bits of the ceiling were falling and the walls were shaking. I was prepared for the worst, but death is the kind of thing that you can't ever be prepared for. But suddenly complete silence fell. It rang even louder than the explosions. Maybe it's time to say goodbye. She was whimpering. I wanted to comfort her somehow, but realized that there was nothing I could do. Yes. You know, A horrible bang almost split my eardrums. It seems that I'm under a piece of collapsed ceiling, but I don't feel any pain. All I want is to not let her go. Oh, scary dream. I woke up in a cold sweat, short of breath and gasping for air. It took me some time to come to my senses. It was a dream. It was just a dream. My questioning mind, however, refused to believe it. But who was that girl with me there? I didn't want to let go of her hand so desperately. Sadly, I couldn't recall her at all. The clock was showing a few minutes past 10. I slowly came to my senses as reality started to stake out its claim on my mind, and my stomach foully growled. Alright, war is war, but lunch should be served in due time. It turned out that Olga Dmitrievna wasn't here. She must have decided not to wake me up. Well, thanks go out to our camp leader for this. After yesterday's adventures, I had to have a rest. Last night remained a blurry memory, which I really didn't want to think about. It's now more important to find something to eat and to wash myself. Excuse me. Exactly. Because a pioneer must always be clean and tidy. Though I would agree with this principle even if I wasn't a pioneer, and as a matter of fact, I'm not. On my way to the washstands, I met Electronic. He started to wave his hands and ran up to me. Good morning. Thank you for finding Shurik. Without him, I don't even... It's nothing. I was a bit embarrassed. No, really, don't be so shy. The country must be proud of its heroes. And what about Shurik? How did he look this morning? Is he alright? After yesterday's craziness, I thought such a question was completely valid. Yes, absolutely. The only thing is that he can't remember anything. Can he? I wasn't surprised at all. He says that he went to the abandoned camp yesterday, and then woke up in his bed in the morning. I mean, he remembers nothing between those two events. I see. Alright then. You missed breakfast, right? Come to our club. We'll feed you. I have something special. Electronic smiled in a conspiratorial way. Thanks, I'll come, probably. I had to wash myself first anyway. We'll be waiting. He waved at me and left to carry out his own business. There's nobody near the washstands. The water turned out surprisingly warm today. It's been warmed up already, I guess. Having my face washed, I realized that it wouldn't be easy to wash the rest of my body here. Maybe I should go to the showers. But since there's nobody here, I turned the tap in such a way so water steamed parallel to the ground and started to take off my clothes. And what if somebody sees me? Well, I'll rinse and dry myself quickly and put on my clothes. The water, which seemed warm on my hands and face, felt bone-chillingly cold in my body. The whole washing process took no longer than 10 seconds, and I started to wipe myself quickly afterwards. But I didn't manage to finish anyway. There were voices coming in from the direction of the footpath. The only solution came to me in a split second. I grabbed my clothes and dashed into the bushes. A moment later, Alyssa and Oyana appeared near the washstands. You could have done it by yourself. Why did you bring me here? Is it a big deal for you? Fine, let me. I peered at them and noticed that they were both covered in red paint. What a surprise. I wonder how they managed that. Alyssa opened the valve and started to rub Oyana's back. Take off your bra. What if somebody sees us? What, is there anything to see? She grinned. Okay, just be quick. It was true that there wasn't much to look at, but even so I stared at the girls narrowly. It was a pity that they were standing with their backs to me. A minute later, Alyssa managed to wash off all the paint. I'm done. Thanks. You're welcome, Alyssa replied lazily. Listen, let me try on yours. She pointed at Alyssa's bra. It won't fit you for sure. Well, I'd like to try anyway. But out here, there's nobody here, right? Ilyana looked my way and smiled archly. I was absolutely sure she couldn't see me in these bushes, but enough with this nonsense. Ilyana wasn't listening to her anymore and grabbed Alyssa's bra with a dexterous move instead. Now, I have to confess, I had something to look at. I watched the two girls chase one after another on the wash stands with bated breath. Alyssa covered her breast with her hands so I could barely see anything at all. I leaned forward and stumbled over a stone, falling out the bushes. Alyssa and Ilyana stood frozen, staring at me. I tried to cover my nudity with my guilty face. The taboo lasted for a few seconds, then Alyssa took her shirt and somehow put it on in an instant. You. Her face gone from red to purple. It looked like she would explode in a nuclear blast any second. The only thing I wanted was to disintegrate into atoms and to get as far from the epicenter as possible. You were sitting there the whole time. So she noticed me then. You. And I accidentally, if you know what I mean. Alyssa rushed at me, covering my butt with one hand and holding my clothes with the other. I ran in the woods. It seemed the best solution to me at that time, as showing up naked in the middle of the camp accompanied by two screaming girls wasn't a good idea. I ran without looking back, and stopped a few minutes later to catch my breath. It seemed that there was no pursuit, so I managed to save myself, but at the cost of lacerated, scratched, and bleeding feet, as I had no time to put on my boots. I sat on a tree stump inside. Sometime later, having dressed already, I left the forest. I need to decide what to do next. My feet are hurting, so I should go straight to the infirmary. But on the other hand, my stomach isn't going to wait either. Maybe I should accept Electronic's invitation, or head to the canteen and hope I'm finding something left to eat there. Yeah. Where is that again? Clubhouse. I was desperately hungry. I always took good care of my health, and even better to care at the times when something started to hurt badly. And now I was able to walk, and my feet were even hurting much. So my feet will heal eventually. All my hunger can wait. Can't wait. I decided to take advantage of Electronic's invitation. In the end, knowing the local pioneers, it was smart to assume that there wasn't even a piece of stale bread left at the canteen, and the Cybernetics Club actually somewhat owe me. With such thoughts, I approached the club's building, and heard screams coming from it. I tried to listen closely, but couldn't figure out anything. Give it back! No, I won't! Liana was running around the room with a coil of wire in her hands, chased by Shurik. Guys, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but give it back! They didn't even give me a bit of attention. No, I won't! Shurik, completely caught up in the chase, slipped past me, almost knocking me down. Hey! Liana was running in circles around the room, laughing cheerfully. I wonder what she needs this wire for. Meanwhile, the head of the Cybernetic Club was looking fine even after yesterday's madness. One could even say he was looking fresh. But this probably wouldn't help him to catch Liana. She was smaller, more agile, and faster after all. She could easily drive him to exhaustion. Hey! Liana ran up to me and hid behind my back. Shurik, in his turn, left the club, slamming the door on his way out. He was offended, it seems. Hey, what's wrong with you? You won't catch me! She looked at Electronic, who was silently observing all this silly running, and stuck out her tongue at him. Semyon, take the wire away from her. And why do you need it in the first place? You don't have enough wire or something? He was trying to catch Liana, who was hiding behind me. He moved to the right while she moved to the left. He moved to the left and she moved to the right. In the end, I got tired of this and grabbed the wire from Liana with one dexterous move. Give it to me! Give it back! She shouted resentfully. No, I won't. Stop forcing her around. I held the wire above my head so Liana with her height couldn't possibly get it. Thank you. Okay, fine. She snorted and turned away from me. Why do you need it in the first place? That's none of your business. Liana looked at me slyly. Do you want me to tell everybody that you... I shut her mouth with my hand and dragged her along to the exit. Okay, we need to go. I told Electronic while giggling stupidly. And what did you come for? Once outside, I let the kid kicking Liana free. Hear me out. You realize that it was an accident. Even more so, it was caused by you. I know nothing. Facts are facts. You were watching us. Oh, What Olga Dimitrievna think? On the one hand, I did not want to care in the slightest what the camp leader would say, but on the other, everything was against me. In my position, it would be better to not get myself into such a situation. Fine, maybe we could make a deal somehow. She started to think. I know. I anticipated the worst. You bring me that wire. But what do you need it for? I need it for my needs. Okay, let's assume I get it. You won't tell anybody? I give you the word of a pioneer. I could hardly believe her. But on the other hand, it was just a coil of wire, so why shouldn't I try? No. No, no wire for you. Enough already. Then I'll tell everything. You'll tell everything anyway, or Alyssa will. Ah, get lost. Yeah, sure, as if it was my fault. It is. You were watching us. No, I wasn't. But no matter how you slice it, I actually was. Alyssa doesn't think so. Alyssa doesn't think so. She doesn't agree with me about a lot of things. And Olga Dmitrievna won't be happy either. You know what? I started to lose my temper. If you want to tell everything, go ahead right now. Also, don't forget to mention that the government's default, world depression, global warming, and the Genesis flood are all my fault too. Oh, come on, stop overreacting like that. I was just joking. Joking? I suddenly realized that I really was wound up too much. Your jokes are stupid, and what am I supposed to do every time? Guess it is for real or a joke? Yep, she grinned. It's more funny that way. Liana turned around and ran towards the square, waving her hand in parting. Still, you can't deal with her in a harmonious way. I sighed and went back into the club's quarters. Electronic was building something with rapt attention. Now I'm done with everything. So I thought you could get me something as you promised. My voice sounded a bit sycophantic, which was enough to drive me mad. Of course I'm not insisting, but... 1 minute? He tore himself away from his work and got a pair of buns from the drawer and a classic triangular pack of kefir. Be my guest. Thank you. While I was busy eating, Electronic didn't turn away from his device for a second. He was rolling up the wire, which I had taken away from Oriana, onto the coil. So what's this? An inductor. An inductor? Join our club and you'll know everything. He looked at me and smiled slyly. I'll think about it. Of course I wasn't going to join anything, but taking into account that he had fed me, I had to be polite. By the way, as I said, I have something else. Well, yeah, wait a second. He went into the adjacent room and came back after a minute with some kind of package. Ta-da-da! And gave it to me. There was a big bottle of Stoljana vodka inside. I get it, but it's still morning. Or does Electronics share the motto of get drunk in the morning, take the entire day off? What are you talking about? I'm not suggesting we drink it. We have to clean the optics. Cleaning the optics? Yeah, right. Internally. Okay. I gave him the package back. I'll go then. Come back anytime. Of course. The moment I want to have a drink. Walking out, I questioned myself why he wanted to show me the vodka in the first place. Suddenly my hunger returned again. For sure, a meal of some buns and kefir was awesome, but it's not enough to fill me up. Luckily for me, I heard the bell sound, calling pioneers for lunch. The day has just started, and I've gone through so many things already. But I did it, and now I have legitimate grounds to fill myself up. Today I wasn't the last one, so I could choose a free table. Lunch included pea soup and mashed potatoes with fish. It was a major disappointment to me that, as I don't eat fish in any form and hence will get fewer calories than usually, soon Slavya and Lena came to my table. Can we? She smiled nicely. Yeah, sure. I stood up and pulled out a chair for her. Please. I was in an excellent mood at that moment. Enjoy your meal. And saying that, Lena began staring at me and continued for some time, but then, after realizing how hot she looked, switched to her plate. You too. Do you have any plans for today, Semyon? Nope. I gave her an honest answer, as indeed I had no plans, except for searching for answers, but that was more like a global goal. Do you want to take a boat ride to the island with us? The island... Well, I think I've seen it from the pier. For what? Olga Dmitrievna asked us to gather some strawberries. There are a lot of strawberries there, and they're so delicious. I can imagine the taste without even eating it, just by looking at Slavya's face. Strawberries? And what are those for? I don't know, but it's indeed a great idea. Well, indeed it is. Moreover, I haven't been to the island yet. Yeah, sure. Oh. Within minutes, we were already standing at the pier. Well, here's the boat. Hang on, I'll go and fetch the paddles now. I was left face to face with Lena. Do you like strawberries? Well, not really, but they're tasty. Lena smiled. I see. I didn't know what to say next, how to continue the conversation. If Slavya didn't come back, we could probably sit here till the evening without saying a word. Here you go. She handed me a pair of hefty paddles. Yeah, thanks. Oh. We got into the boat. I untied it, pushed off the shore, and tried to start paddling. And where exactly are we heading to? Right there. She pointed her finger at the island. That island is named the closest one. I wonder what captain gave it such an original name. Well, the island is indeed close to the shore. Aye, Captain. If only I'd known what was waiting for me ahead. I wasn't an experienced oarsman. I had rowed a boat just once or twice in my entire life. It was less than half a mile to the island, but we were making our way in zigzags thanks to my skills. By approximately the middle of the trip, my arms hurt so badly that I dropped the paddles to get some rest. Well, aren't there any strawberries anywhere else? I mean, in more accessible places. But the tastiest ones grow there. Slavya gave me a puzzled look. Is it hard for you to row alone? Lena, unlike Slavya, understood everything straight away. Oh, it's nothing. Anyway, I couldn't let a fragile girl help me. The rest of the way, I spent concentrating on staying alive while getting to the island. Slavya and Lena discussed something, but I wasn't listening. That was too much for me. At last, we arrived. Oh, completely exhausted, I got out on the shore and looked at the boathouse. It seemed so far away that I felt like a first person on the moon watching the Earth rise. Here you go. Slavya handed me a basket. It was a small island, barely 100 meters long, and it looked more like a birch grove with even rows of trees covering its entire surface. A calm green sea spread beneath our feet, with wind causing lonely waves on its surface from time to time. This island looked like a lost paradise. It's no wonder that the most delicious strawberries grow just here. We've got to split up, that way we'll do the job faster. Yeah, sure. But there are only 2 baskets, said Lena humbly. Oh, you're right, my bad. So how are we going to split up then? Okay, I'll go with Lena. Let me go with you. Let's go. Okay, that's fine. Slavya grabbed the second basket and ventured to the opposite side of the island. Well, let's go. Yeah, Lena smiled. Just pay attention. Don't leave a single berry behind. You too. So it was harvest time. Indeed, the strawberries here were delicious. I could probably eat them all if I didn't stop myself in time. Despite being wild grown, the berries were close to garden ones in size and had a rich red color, so it was clear that our visit here wasn't in vain. Lena followed me closely as we had only one basket for the both of us. I felt like a real mushroom picker, examining each shrub and carefully pulling the grass. Well, you're much better than me. Am I? Frankly, I'm not even counting them. Yeah, right you are. The basket was already half full. You must enjoy nature, right? I do. The bright sun rays pierced the treetops and blinded me for a second. I sat down on the ground and leaned against a tree. Still, it's so beautiful here. Lena sat down next to me, so close that our elbows touched. Yeah. We just sat and enjoyed the moment. It seemed like time stood still. The wind gently shook the tree leaves, some bugs lazily hopped around the grass, and splashes of sunlight played on the faraway water surface. Oh, Lena put her head on my shoulder. I was surprised at first, but then I heard her regular breathing and thought it's just a matter of course. Probably she felt drowsy and wanted to take a quick nap. I just sat there and didn't think of anything for a few minutes. But then words started crossing my mind with ultrasonic speed. Lena, so close, sleeping, so warm, so gentle, feelings. I gazed at her. She had such a serene, such a tranquil look on her face that it seemed that right now she's not here, but in some kind of a better world. I don't know what would have happened the next moment if I didn't hear the voice of Slavya. Semyon, Lena! I shook my head from side to side a few times to come to my senses. Lena started to wake up. Oh. She opened her eyes and gave me an empty look. Have a nice dream? Huh? Suddenly realizing that she had dozed off leaning on my shoulder, Lena blushed. Oh, I'm sorry. It's fine. Slavya came over to us, so Lena rushed to get up. So, how much have you got? I sighed. That's not a lot. Her basket was filled with strawberries to the brim. Well, it's enough anyway. It's time to get back. I grabbed the basket and we headed back to the boat. The way back took less time as I tried to concentrate on rowing and ignoring everything else. My only wish was to get back alive, as the first trip hadn't gone without consequences, and now my hands started to hurt after only a few sweeps of oars. Having tied up the boat, I fell to the ground with no energy left. Slavya and Lena leaned over me. You could have said something if it was so hard for you. Yes. Never mind, it's fine. I'll just lie here for a bit and everything will be alright. Okay, then get those baskets to Olga, Dmitrievna, please. We have something else to do. Yeah, sure. I was ready to agree with anything at that moment, just so I wouldn't have to get up. Slavya put the baskets full of strawberries next to me and headed to the square, happily chatting with Lena about something. The hardest part is done anyway. That's what I thought before I got up and took the baskets. After the rowing, they felt like cement bags, even while weighing barely more than a few